Hi there, this is Megan Christensen with CreditSuite. I am the COO for CreditSuite, and I've been asked to be a guest speaker in our YouTube Live today. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we have a great schedule plan for us. We are going to go over 10 mind-blowing simple steps to take that any entrepreneur can take to raise their business credit scores. Now, it's really interesting as I speak throughout the country. It is so much fun. And one of the things that I love is as I'm teaching and I start to explain to a room of business owners that their business has business credit reports just like they do as an individual. I love watching their eyes light up and that consciousness hitting them that they have business credit reports. Many business owners, in fact, statistically, a majority of business owners are completely unaware that they have business credit reports. And on top of it, that means they aren't aware how they can get financing for their business based on their business credit only, and how powerful it is in increasing the approvals that the business is getting. So again, I'm Megan Christensen, the COO for CreditSuite. You can see my contact information here. I'll show this information again at the end of the presentation, but go ahead and check it out. And my team is just fabulous. If you have any questions, they're just a phone call or an email away. You can also check us out at creditsuite.com/EIN. All right, let's dive into this. You're hanging out with me for 30 minutes today, and I want to make it a really productive 30 minutes. So, business credit scores. They are scores under the business's name. As I mentioned before, businesses have credit reports just like an individual does. Now, one of the most common mistakes that a business owner makes when they realize they have business credit reports is they assume it's just like their personal credit, and they couldn't be more different. Business credit is completely different than personal credit, and I'm going to dive into that a little more. But the first bullet point here is we want to make sure we know that the business has scores. A business builds its own credit profile and credit score. And then the business will qualify for greater credit, as I mentioned. This measures the business's ability to pay, not the owner's. And this is what's so critical. Imagine a lender being able to pull your business credit report and having an idea how you typically pay your bills, how trustworthy you are, etc. You bet creditors are pulling this information during the underwriting process to make sure that they want to do business with you. Most major business credit scores range from 0 to 100. Again, as I mentioned, one of the mistakes a business owner makes is they assume it's just like personal. You can see here, here's one fabulous example. Business credit scores range from 0 to 100. All right, your business credit score isn't automatic. I know. I'll let that sink in. When I am out speaking and I talk to business owners, my seasoned business owners will almost look at me like, I've got this figured out. I don't need your class anymore. And I think the reason they feel that way is this assumption that business credit is just like personal credit. And like I said, it couldn't be they couldn't be any more different, right? They are so different. Here's an area that's huge as to why business credit is different than personal credit. And I think this is why those established business owners have this look of, I've got this handled. I think they assume that their current business credit accounts are reporting and their time in business, et cetera, ensures that they have these really well developed business credit reports. Now, I have story after story of business owners that I consult and work with that suddenly have this reality that their business credit scores aren't established, or that the credit history on there is minimal. And even more frustrating, they may have a negative item on there that they weren't aware of because of the differences. So I'll dive into that a little more. So unlike for consumer credit scoring, you have to apply. You have to apply for a DUNS number. Now, with Business Experian and Equifax, those will create on their own. But DMB, one of the biggest business credit bureaus, your score and your profile isn't created until you apply for a DUNS number. Now, there are some things you can do to make sure that the business has the solid foundation. That's things like getting an EIN number through the IRS, getting that DUNS number, as I mentioned, from Dun Bradstreet. And that, when you do apply online, it arrives in a couple weeks, so it takes a little bit of time. And then it's going to tally up 3 separate payment experiences. Then DMB starts tracking the business's financial activity, and you get a PAYDEX score. And for other businesses, CRAs, no payment experiences are necessary. So you start with a failing business credit score because you have no payment history. This is important to understand. When you first set up your business credit reports, you won't have any history on there. Right? Surprise, surprise. Go figure. It's not going to go pull back historical information. So you're starting from the ground up when you apply for that DUNS number. What this could mean is there's a business that's been established for 10 years, and because they never applied for a DUNS number, they officially don't have a DMB report, one of the 3 major business credit bureaus, and that means they have no history on that report. That helps you see how even an established business, I've consulted businesses that make 5 million a year, 10 million a year, 20 million a year, and the scenario is the same for them. Okay, the business credit score. Let's dive into this a little more. It's a mathematical model generally used to depict the business's risk. We're pretty used to scores, right? We have personal credit scores. We're used to looking at them. As I mentioned before, the model in which they're calculated, completely different. So it's 1 to 100. On going 90 days late on an account within the next 12 months. So it's an indicator, the score that's most commonly used on the business with the business credit bureaus. It's an indicator of how probable it is that the business will fail or that they will make a late payment. It differs from personal credit scoring, which depicts the risk over 24 months. So we're looking at that for 12 months on businesses. Your business credit profile links to its EIN. And then a business credit score depicts how likely the business is to default on payments. It has nothing to do with how the business owner pays his or her own bills. So that is a super general 10,000-foot view of business credit score. And I do want to go into a little more detail there because you're not going to get enough knowledge, all that power that you need from the knowledge of this webinar to build your business credit scores for your business or check those scores. So these scores are used by credit issuers. They're used by lenders, suppliers, vendors, and others who typically extend credit to businesses. And there's no Fair Credit Reporting Act for businesses. Creditors and vendors are under no obligation to tell you which scores they are relying on. Anyone can pull your business credit report. I'm not kidding. Anyone can pull your business credit report. And when I teach that concept, typically I will look in the room and I see some business owners that get this almost excited look. And then that quickly changes to this sudden fear and realization that anyone can pull their business credit report too. I don't have to have signed authorization. As a company, when we're going to do business with another entity, you bet we pull their business credit report. We look at how they're handling their current obligations, and we vet the business information there because it helps me know if they are a real company, if they have their ducks in a row, and if it's somebody we want to do business with. With no applicable Fair Credit Reporting Act, you may never know who's looking at your business credit report. You can't see inquiries. Inquiries have no negative impact on your business credit report. Now, that's another huge difference from personal to credit to business. And imagine if you had this assumption that business credit was just like personal and you believed that inquiries were hurting your report and people were just pulling it. That would be a very stressful situation. It's so critical to know they're completely different. No Fair Credit Reporting Act. and those inquiries are not negatively impacting your business credit reports. That can be not just vendors, lenders, creditors, but also competitors, clients, and business prospects. So I know that insurance agencies pull these. I know that just if somebody's looking to acquire a business, they can pull the report, or they just ran into a company, they wanted to pull their report. You could do that. Now, there are three major business credit reporting agencies. As I mentioned, there's DMB, that's just for business. And then there's Business Experian and Equifax. You'll recognize those names because they also are in the consumer space, but they don't function like the consumer side. They are completely different. Smaller credit reporting agencies are out there, LexisNexis, we've got CreditSafe, etc. A lot of these are bureaus or data companies that are checked during the underwriting process. But the three are the main business credit bureaus, and they matter a lot. Now, FICO SBSS, it's a small business scoring service and CreditSafe. FICO SBSS, the SBA uses it, and it's a cumulative total of all the data that they can find. So the scores range from 0 to 300. It reflects the likelihood that an applicant is going to pay their bills on time. It looks at both personal and business. So if you can imagine, the way FICO SBSS works is it's basically a data company that's pulling data history, it's pulling personal information and business information, and it's for lenders to use so that they can make good underwriting decisions. And as I mentioned, that includes personal and business. Now, what's really interesting is without any business credit history, the SBA will not approve. So their underwriting guidelines require a certain FICO SBSS score, and without any credit history and no reports, that your score automatically is too low to get approved. And that's something really powerful to know. Personal and business credit history plus financial data go into the total score calculation for SBSS, as I mentioned. So now let's talk about CreditSafe. It includes financial trade payment information. They are worldwide. They are more widely known outside the US, and particularly in Europe, they're used quite a bit. It also includes lease payments, payments to business credit cards, term loan payments, and other debt payments made by a business. So what goes into a score? I could teach this concept for a whole day, but you get to hang out with me for 30 minutes and I'm going to go over the most important parts. What goes into a score and what in the world is a score? Lenders don't really make decisions based on score. They're looking at the actual payment data, the actual data, but what the score tells you is generally how they're going to rank your report. So the CRAs, they all use slightly different methods, but the main criteria for scoring, they're the same. They just might have some different weights. So knowing how the scores are calculated is extremely important. Now with Business Experian, for example, if you have no accounts, you can have a really poor score, but the lenders still like it because you have payment history. So though you may have a poor score with Business Experian because you have new accounts, lenders are actually feeling good because you have some credit history on there. Now with DMB, if you pay on time, you get an 80 score, a paydex score. If you pay late, you get something below that. So let's dive into that a little bit more. DMB is looking at bankruptcies, liens, lawsuits against your company, your credit card payments, your bill payments, and to get a paydex score, a business needs at least usually 2 to 3 trade accounts reporting on their file. It can take up to 90 days for a business credit account to show on your Dun Bradstreet report. So from the day that you pay it, pay your invoice. So that means, for example, if I go make a purchase with my business Best Buy account, and then I select to be invoiced, right? Because this is my business credit account with Best Buy. I get the invoice, I make my payment. Once that payment is made, the clock starts ticking. It takes up to 90 days for that account to actually show on your business credit report. So let's dive into it. D&B scoring criteria, the PAYDEX score, it's a weighted average with more weight given to trade accounts that report higher amounts of credit extended. It gives less weight to trade accounts that report lower dollar amounts. And to keep a PAYDEX score up, if you only pay one bill, pay the biggest one first. Past performance in bill payments is a main driver for this number, and the higher the score, the lower the risk. Experian Commercial, it's a large, huge database, and they apply their own analytics software, but their reports include public records, just like D&B does. That includes bankruptcies, lien judgments, etc., scoring, trade information, financial history, court judgments, and UCC filings. Experian scoring criteria, they have an IntelliScore Plus, and it's a historical behavior, it's payment history, 5 to 10% of the total score, current payment status, trade balances, and the percent of accounts delinquent. That's 50 to 60% of the score, a huge majority. Credit utilization, that's 10 to 15%, and then company profile, the age of the business, industry risk, the size of the business assessed by the number of employees, that's about 5 to 10% of the total score. 10 to 15% of the total score is based on derogatory items, including collections, liens, judgments, and bankruptcies. Let's dive into the IntelliScore a little bit more. The score's basis includes number of trade experiences, outstanding balances, payment habits, credit utilization over time, and public record recency, frequency, and dollar amount. Now let's talk about business Equifax. They collect utility account information and often lease payment data from equipment lenders, trade vendor data, public records, bankruptcies, judgments, lawsuits, and liens. So the FICO SBSS scoring criteria, FICO takes into account, among other things, personal credit history and business credit history, the age of the business, and the years in business. Can I lower a business credit score? And what does that? So current collections, liens, judgments, bankruptcies, and other derogatory public records, including status, recency, frequency, and dollar amounts. Increased trend in slower payments of obligations. So if you're paying your bills late, that'll decrease your score. And increased number of business credit inquiries or applications generated by the business owner. The number of trade experiences, balances outstanding, payment habits, and credit utilization, those trends over time. All of those items can lower your score. So basically, you pay things late and you overextend yourself. You have negative public records, liens, judgments, bankruptcies. Those items can all have negative impact on your business credit score. So what can you do to raise it? Well, first and foremost, at least set up your DUNS number, right? Once you have your D&B profile, then you know you can start building your Dun Bradstreet report. So first and foremost, I would say getting that actual report. Then using those trade accounts that report. Do you know a majority of creditors, trade accounts, vendors, insurance companies, they're all checking your business credit reports. A majority do, but very few of them report back to build it further. It's a little bit of a catch-22. So it's really important that you're using credit accounts that will report back. And they don't publish that information. There's no way to search for all those that report. That is a list that we hold here, and we have individuals that just do research on that concept alone, finding those vendors. But it's important that you know who's reporting and who isn't. And what can you do to increase that score? Make your payments on time and be patient. So as you add more accounts, that score is going to go up. But it's not immediate, because really in life, we've all learned the best things are never immediate. All right, so raise your business credit scores. Step 1, pay on time every single time. That is the key to getting the highest score possible. And I know that's the same on the personal credit side, but even more so on the business credit side. A majority of the scores calculation on business credit, and more importantly, not just the score, but what creditors are looking at. Do you pay those bills on time or do you pay them late? So if you pay all your bills on time, Paydex will have a score of 80. If you pay late, it just drops from there. Equifax credit score of 90 or better, and then a good FICO SBSS score will be computed. And that will be driven in part by on-time payments. For Experian, historical behavior payment history, 5 to 10% of the total score. For SBA loans, you won't be approved with a FICO SBSS score under 140, as I talked about, but the typical cutoff can be as high as 160. If you don't have some business credit history, your score will not be above a 140. Now, chances are good that the SBA lender won't even submit your application if your score doesn't meet that threshold, as I mentioned. And so now here's a moment for us to all reflect. How well does your company pay its outstanding invoices? Now, something to talk about on that, the last point, which we didn't get on there, which is on business credit, and you should all be very aware of this. This is so different than personal credit. If you pay 1 day late, so I get my invoice from Best Buy for my business credit account, and I pay that 1 day late, they can report that as a late payment on the business credit with the Business Credit Bureau. On the personal side, there's the regulation in place that states that they won't report for about 30 days. Now, that doesn't exist on the business side, and this gets business owners all the time. So be aware of that. Paying 1 day late can really hurt your business credit scores. Let's go to the next point. Raise your business credit scores. This is step number 2. The vendor credit tiers consist of true starter vendors, and they will extend credit when other businesses won't. So here are 3 of my favorites. So as I was talking about, if you remember, a majority of creditors are pulling your business credit reports, but they aren't reporting back to build your business credit reports further. So what that means is a business can be in business for quite some time with no credit history. You remember I talked about that. So what do? You apply for your DUNS number. That's all squared away. Well, now it's time to start building those business credit reports. And here are 3 of my favorite vendors that do report to build your business credit scores. I'll go back to that so you have a moment to jot them down. Uline, Quill, and Granger. Some of them will have you prepay. I'll tell you, it's just like getting your first personal credit card. You don't get the best terms, you don't get the highest approval, but remember, those are approved without a personal guarantee. And that's powerful. You're not giving them your personal social security number. That's the business learning to stand on its own. And we should do that as much as we can as business owners. Keep the 2 as separate as possible. All right, raise those business credit scores. Step number 3, generate more payment experiences. As I talked about, and why this is so hard for some businesses is not all creditors report. So the more payment experiences you get on there, the more history you have, and the more lenders feel more comfortable when you're applying for additional financing. Why? Think about it. If you pulled the business credit report of a business and they only had 1 experience, how would you feel? But if they had 10, would that look different to you? I think the answer is obvious to all of us. Yes, the more history on there, the more comfortable I feel that I'm seeing a good representation of how that business handles their debt. Now, creditors feel the same way. More credit history is going to also increase your score. Now, but make sure have all these, you've got to still pay them on time. That's critical, and you have to pay them on time every single time. Now, step number 4, unleash the power of trade references. What do I mean by that? Trade references. DMV does have this option, it's the credit builder, to submit references with them specifically. Now, keep in mind, before we all run there, that's just on your DMV report. So that doesn't impact business Equifax or Experian, but those are payment references with DMB. DMB does have some strict guidelines, so you want to make sure you meet those guidelines before you pay for that product. It's not inexpensive, but if you do have accounts that qualify, it's a really powerful tool. Now you're asking yourself, well, what about the other bureaus, Experian, CreditSafe? There are tools, and we have a fantastic tool here at CreditSuite that I'm so excited about. We have the ability through our advanced business credit monitoring to take those references right from our system. You can input those references, and that could be like your cell phone bill, your power bill that's under your business's name, and we can get those added on your business Experian and CreditSafe reports. That's all powered by our fantastic partner, eCredible, but it's a powerful tool. So check out our advanced business credit monitoring, because on top of that, we also allow you to pull your business credit reports. It's so powerful, and I think critical for all business owners. It's been a great product that we've rolled out within the last year. Okay, so trade references are some of the only subjective information on credit reports. Let's go to step number 5. Give the CRAs what they want. Check your business credit reports regularly. Is the information incomplete or missing altogether? Always update your records. And these changes are critical. Ownership, number of employees, business entity. Here's the deal. If all of us put ourselves in the lender's shoes, and it's so funny, when I'm out speaking, I ask the room to be a lender, and they are the toughest lenders. It's funny, when we put ourselves in their shoes, it's so funny, they will list things outside of even, the only thing they don't name is like a DNA check, right? But think about it. If all the information they find on the business and the owner is conflicted, it doesn't match, everything seems off, that makes a lender feel uncomfortable. It would make you feel uncomfortable. So what you need to do is be proactive and make sure all that information matches. Raise business credit scores. Run the company financially responsible. And this means retaining enough assets to cover business downturns, not overspending. It means not taking more debt than your company can handle. And that's critical in raising your scores. DMB in particular looks at this concept. Now, I like this concept of always choosing the amount of profit. I have a fantastic friend that runs a company, a consulting company, and it's all about putting that profit first and then navigating your decisions back from there. We are here to serve our customers. We're here to provide products that add value, but ultimately you can't do that unless your business has a profit. And so it's critical to put that in play. Raise your business credit scores. Number 7, we're almost there. Keep your trade payments in line. Remember, pay rents and utilities on time. If your business can't, talk to your providers. Don't hide. It doesn't work. Communicate with them. There's often programs and options that you have, so it's not going to hurt your report. Raise business credit scores. Number 8, stay out of legal hot water. Easier said than done at times, but you can be really smart about it. You can't prevent every lawsuit, but if business always honors its contracts and obligations, that goes a long way. The other legal issues, accidents, keep the workplaces clean, obstruction free, consult with attorneys, and consult with your insurance agencies. Make sure everything is in line, and it's going to provide protection in those scenarios. So from one business owner to another, spend some time working on keeping the business out of legal hot water. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row. It's really powerful. When you've got everything organized and streamlined, it gives you a lot of peace of mind. Number 9, know the codes. What are we talking about? Your business has 2 kinds of codes, an SIC code and an NICS code, the North America Industry Classification System. Creditors care about your industry deeply. There's some industries that fail more regularly than others. Those industries where they have more write-offs, where they have more bad debts, they don't love those industries. Know what industries creditors, lenders are sensitive to. Understand that if you're doing multiple things, you want to pick the industry that's the least risky. No reason to pick the riskiest one and put that front and center. All right, restricted and high risk industries. Energy, here's some restricted industries: energy, oil trading, petroleum extraction, production, pawn shops, cannabis. Uh, Here's some that are high risk: auto, recreational vehicle, boat sales, travel agencies. They're simply, what this means is there's going to be stricter underwriting guidelines. They're going to hold you to a higher standard. You should be completely aware of that and be planning to make sure you position yourself well. Be honest though when you choose your code. I had a business once that chose a code that wasn't necessarily what they did. They were advised to do that by their accountant, and that really raised red flags with the lender. We couldn't lend to them because it looked like they were lying. You can't hide what you do. You need to be honest and choose the code that really represents what your business is doing, and keep the name of a high risk or a restricted industry out of your business name. Choose a name that's going to scale with you and your business. If you need ideas, just look at those businesses around you. Look at who's named their business well, but keep in mind, don't change your business name. That can look like a new start date. So raise your business credit scores. Last but not least, step number 10, increase your most recent high credit used. So credit issuers determine how high a credit limit is based on how much you spend monthly and how recently you've spent it. So get approved for limits more than 10 times of your existing limits by monitoring and increasing your recent high credit used. And use your credit often so that you can get more credit with every approval. Credit issuers, they want to see that you're using your credit wisely and you're maintaining it wisely. They monitor these stats and approvals and decisions. Get approved for limits more than 10 times your existing limits just by monitoring and responsibly managing your business credit reports. Now, here's step number 12. Negative payment information history can diminish your ability to get loans and credit cards. It can increase the rates and payments on credit loans, and know which accounts are reporting adverse credit history. Then you can work with the credit bureaus and the credit issuers to correct inaccuracies. But remember, it's not like personal credit. If there's late payments and there's other items, credit bureaus, business credit bureaus are not legally obligated to correct that information. They're motivated simply by wanting accurate and correct information. Step number 13, you'll never know what's going on unless you check, but you're often too busy to check. So make sure you take the time to monitor your reports. It seems so simple, but this is a very common mistake business owners make, and they only pull their reports when it's time to apply. And I've heard this song so many times, it makes my heart hurt. They pull the report, they find either nothing on there, tons of inaccuracies, or even late payments because they didn't realize one day late could be reported. And then their business also needs financing, and now they're in a bind. Let's be proactive, pull those reports. We have, like I mentioned, this advanced business credit monitoring, which I just love, and you can save over 90% over what you're going to pay with DMB, Experian. DMB, they charge $149 a month. And Experian, you've got 20, Business Equifax is another $20 a month. You're at almost $200 a month if you monitor your business credit reports with the 3 bureaus independently. We do have our advanced business credit monitoring where you can also add references. That's $99 a month. Or if you just want to monitor your DMB and Business Experian, that's only $24 a month. It's a fabulous tool and adds so much power to your business. So let's do a recap. I know I went a little bit over. Thank you for hanging out with me. To be honest, I just love this topic and I could talk about it all day long. And thank goodness that's the business I'm in, because I get to talk about it all day long. Recap, if I could share some most important things, let's start with a DUNS number. Get those 3 payment experiences. But before you apply for that DUNS number, make sure all your business records are in order. It's so critical that you have that credibility, you have your Secretary of State filing, your EIN number, etc. New business credit scores tend to be low with Experian and Equifax. Don't let it deter you. Understand that creditors are looking for those on-time payments first and foremost. Start to improve your scores with one-time payments and make responsible financial decisions. We are huge advocates of paying bills on time, paying it forward. We want people to pay us on time. Make sure you're paying others on time. Work with trade vendor tiers to start getting payment experiences and ask for trade references. Just remember that not all creditors report. And so it's important to understand that and pick those that do. Keep trade payments in line and try to stay out of legal entanglements. Address adverse accounts or the SIC and NAICS codes that may be keeping your scores down, and increase your recent high credit issued and your high credit used. Watch that utilization. So get those high credit amounts because creditors copy those. I always suggest after a couple months of having an account, call them and ask for a higher credit approval amount. It's a great thing. Once it reports on your report, creditors will feel more comfortable. You can handle those higher amounts. So my goal is for you to easily and quickly get financing, get access to every legitimate funding program in one place. We do that here at Credit Suite, and you pay no fees ever. You use our loan volume to get lower rates. So our finance team, we have a whole finance department, and what we focus on is preparing business owners for financing and matching them up with the lenders and creditors that are the best fit for them. So one of the things and the hurdles as a business owner is when it's time for financing, what lender do you visit? How do you know it's the correct product? How do you know you're getting the best pricing? How do you know which banker is the best contact or which lender is the best contact? Not all bankers are created equally. I can say that because I was one. There's some that are fabulous. There's others that don't fight for their customers. You need that advocate. What I love here at Credit Suite, and I'm so proud of, is our finance department that fills that role, that knows which lenders are the best, which types of financing are the best fit for the customer, what the customer can do and the business can do to qualify for more in the future. And that's what our team does. And based on our loan volume, you can get lower rates and fees. And if the lender comes up with something that's out of the norm or you're not getting the best pricing, our team will say something. They know because they work with so many business owners. They get that volume and that experience. We build that business blueprint to graduate to SBA loans. And you don't have to do that funding search again. You don't have to do I got something in the mail. Should I apply? Should I not? Are they simply wanting me to apply so they can turn me down? You don't have to do that dance. That's a role that we can fill really well. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I sure love what we do here at Credit Suite. I also love my team. If you have any questions about building business credit, getting financing for your business, reach out to us. I will tell you, running a business is not easy. I am first and foremost also a business owner, and it's not simple. There's a million things that I need to focus on and put my attention to, but most often businesses fail because of their lack of access to financing. It's so nice when you have somebody that can be your advocate in that space so you can continue to focus on what you need to do as a business owner. I feel like that's what we do here at Credit Suite. So give us a call. My team is fantastic and they can consult you through any questions you have, talk about the products that we have, see if it's a good fit for you or not, and give you the best recommendations. And again, you can go to our website, creditsuite.com/EIN number. And you can also click here. You can see that image to check out all our social media pages and get access to some free guides that we have on our website. I think they're really powerful. Make sure you take some time to go and download those. Well, that's all I've got for today. Thank you again so much for joining us. And like I said, feel free to reach out. We'd love to help answer any questions you have and ultimately help your business grow and get access to the capital that it needs. Take care, everybody. Let's make it a fabulous day, and I will see you again next week.